Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. And while I was in my Twitter feed and on the news channels yesterday, I saw a lot going on about this young gymnast, Simone Biles. I'm probably butchering her name because I'd never heard of her. And apparently she's a big deal and she did very well. And at some point she decided, you know what, this is too much for me. I'm going to step aside. And there was just attack after attack after attack. And, you know, people like Piers Morgan, who I'm going to start referring to as Pig Morgan, started attacking her as well. And it just didn't sit right with me for a number of reasons. And one that sprung into my mind almost immediately was the Larry Nassar affair. This man, this doctor, this physician that was molesting, a multitude of these girls. We still can't grasp how many young women this guy got his hands on. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. And it really speaks to our culture that so many piled on this young woman. She's 24 years old. In order to make any type of Olympic team, let alone gymnastics, especially in that field, do you realize at what a young, impressionable age you're pushed for that to be almost everything, if not everything? And, you know, kudos to her for saying there were some things in life that are more important to the Olympics or than the Olympics. Because let's be honest, who's really paying attention to the Olympics at this point? It used to be, you know, this type of a regalia event where just so much propaganda could be used, not only in this country, but across the world. I think that across the world, it still may work on a large scale. Here, not so much. Not many people are concerned. Really, they're more concerned about the aura of Olympic gold and being a winner than anything else. So we're going to show you, how this is just disturbing, disgusting, that this girl was indeed not only molested by Nassar, but I guess yesterday she put out like a cryptic post letting everybody know how she felt. And now some people are kind of coming around, but again, like people like Pig Morgan, no. And on top of that, we're going to update you on, kind of this disturbing, disgusting culture. When I say America raped her, I mean it. I mean it. You want to talk about a systematic culture of abuse. It's the abuse of our children. I'm going to repeat that. It's the abuse of our children by people in authority. It's not just the Hollywood abuse, right? Yeah, again, you look at this Olympic scandal and what was really going on here. We're seeing a little small bit of that. But again, it's people in power. It's not just the Catholic Church, right? You understand? It's people in authority. We find these rings. It's not just high-level politicians. Do you get it? So you want to talk about something that's systematic? It's the abuse of our kids. And I did a story on Mina Savari, who's 42 years old now. And I told people, I was like, look, you notice how they're kind of running with this weird experience she'd had with Kevin Spacey, because Kevin Spacey was in the news, even though he's getting his work back. I'm like, as weird as that was, there was no molestation there. I go, but what they didn't focus on is the fact that, she was talking about how she was sexually abused at 12, even before she got to Hollywood, and then talked about some bad Hollywood experiences. Well, now, as I said, and as I suspected, when she was 16, a 30-year-old manager sexually abused her. And she was sexually abused throughout her teenage years in Hollywood. So we're going to get to all that in a moment. I do want to remind everybody to thumbs the video up right now, subscribe and share. Fully demonetized on the channel, obviously, well over a year, 2 strikes. You never know. I might not have my channel tomorrow. We can never tell. But we still need to bring people in from the cat videos. We still need to do the YouTube and bring people over to platforms that empower me through free speech. And at the same time, you can see all my documentary films right here, right now, in the playlist section. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade, the motion picture. Please go make that free Rockfin account. And that way you can comment on videos. There's so much exclusive content here. Yesterday, for instance, you have an hour-long interview with Rizflex discussing the possibility of lockdowns coming to the East Coast, California, and other places, and really the push now for masks on everybody, including your children. Both of those are completely uncensored on Rockfin, whereas YouTube, obviously, we had to cut them off at some point so we could discuss the big boy stuff. The GoFundMe links are down below. That always helps. Let's get into it. Pig Morgan. Sorry, Simone Biles. But there's nothing heroic or brave about quitting because you're not having fun. You let down your teammates, your fans, and your country. Yo, Pierce, fuck you. How about that? How about a big fuck you to Pierce Morgan? All right? First of all, the guy is, just short now of calling for, basically camps for people that don't want to take mandated shots from governments. Okay? Period. We already showed you some of that stuff. I mean, it's off the chain. He's talking about how you know what? I don't want this video to go off the rails. Go watch Mixed Martial Mindset from this week. We show you a lot of Pierce Morgan. But the thing is, it's not like this is a new story. Everybody knew that this was the case, that Nasser had done this and that she was a part of this. This was out early July. And, first of all, just sharing that this happened is extremely traumatic. I don't know what it's like to be sexually abused or assaulted as a child. I can't imagine that. I certainly can't imagine it when I'm trying to achieve a goal that is highly sought after, highly competitive, highly stressful, right? Highly skilled. And this goal is something literally, it's all I've known the majority of my childhood and into my now adult life. And then I get there, and hey, I don't know what may have triggered an emotion or a memory, but it's not my business. And then the media piles on this girl. Craziness to me. Okay? And, she shares this message that kind of alludes to it, but again, I don't think she should have even had to. I really, really don't. And I guess it was shared by a friend of hers. But what is wrong with our society? Instead of standing up and pointing out, hey, it went back decades and why this matters and how this is a big part of it, that should be the focus. Who enabled Nasser? What else was going on there? You get it? Decades. Just kind of like the Rockefeller Institute and one of their lead doctors there abusing children for decades. Okay? And, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it right here, full circle to kind of the Hollywood thing. And again, it's not just sports. It's not just Hollyweird. I'll keep going. It's people in positions of power. We hear about a lot of the people that, oh, look at that. You got to love it when the desktop's not available. We'll do it live. We'll fix it. Don't worry. Again, that's why you see sometimes, again, I wouldn't even call them lower level people, but again, usually people in authority with resources, even when they do get caught, especially if they have money and power, barely anything happens to them. Finally, they got Ed Buck after how many people he injected with meth. Right? So, Mina Servari talking about repeated sexual abuse, addiction to meth. Again, we talked about 12 years old, but I want to get down to the point where it says she was 16 and basically having sex with her 30-year-old producer. Okay? Here it is right here. Servari was still a teen when she moved to Hollywood, where she said she was taken advantage of again by a predatory manager in his mid-30s who had sex with her when she was 16. Okay? So I know that people want to make a joke out of people like Corey Feldman, and people were disappointed that the names that he named were already out there, or they weren't big enough, or they weren't the ones that were sexy and hip on the message boards. But you have to understand, we've only seen a fraction of what's actually going on. And unfortunately, it does us no favors when people throw around names, okay, that the slimmest of evidence is against. And who knows? I'm not going to throw out those names, but we all know what they are. But if there's just so much stuff that you could look to. You could look to not only Epstein, but Lord Mountbatten, right? You could look to Roy Cohn and the excellent work that Whitney Webb has done, right? You can do that. You can talk about Dennis Hassert and Anthony Weiner because they're real. You can talk about Foley because it's real. You can tell people that Barney Frank had a male brothel, a callboy ring, if you will, running out of his D.C. apartment. And all of that can be looked into and people go, whoa! Point to the Franklin scandal. That's where you can really get them moving, right? Can really get them moving. And what this girl endured physically, can't even imagine the trauma. Very fortunate that something like that has never happened to me. And a lot of you out there, I'm sure you feel very fortunate it's never happened to you. But we should be protecting our kids. And we shouldn't be attacking somebody because now, the U.S. got a silver medal because of her. Who cares? Who gives a flying fizzuck? So you know the drill, guys. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share. Come on over to the Rockfin. I'm sure there's going to be some uncensored stuff over there later today as YouTube wants to enslave your minds with certain narratives while Rockfin is empowering me through free speech. So thanks for watching. I love you, and I'll see you on the flip side.